All right, we're good. We're going. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back for another episode of the Big Buddha Podcast, and I'm joined today by a legend in my world. He's a really good friend of mine, and I'm honored to have him on the podcast. His name's Zach Bennett, and he's here to just kick it and fucking get stoned and catch up, man. It's been too long.
Yeah, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, like I feel like you've lived like many lives since the last time I seen you. I mean,
it feels like it, man.
I mean, catching up with you feels like we're picking up where we left off, but in the same sense, like you have been through a lot, since
Yeah, you do, man. You too.
Yeah, vice versa. Yeah, I mean, I'm still similar in a lot of ways. You know what I just mean? Like you've had like a lot of drastic changes, and for the better, I would say, in terms of your quality of life and the things you're pursuing, like in like long term.
Yeah, I think the quality of life is only getting better. Like the even despite all the tough things that have happened in the last, like, Heather and I were in Colorado for 7 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
wow.
6.5 years.
That's crazy. It didn't feel like it was that long. That's nuts to me. To hear you say that, that's fucking...
Yeah, and COVID happened, like, through the last, like, year of that. So it's like that Colorado, COVID, and here are, like, all completely different worlds. Like, all in, like, squeezed in together.
Oh, and the world that you're building.
Yeah.
Currently, which is a whole separate thing, like... dealing with the struggles and like trying to like make it in the COVID world and like the move and all that's great, but then like you're also building like or rehabbing a trailer or a home.
Yeah,
a home for you guys, and it's got a property, right? And
yeah, 8.5 acres.
Wow, cool, man. That's not a small property by any means, and you're gonna have to maintain that and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of work, man.
But that's part of the fun, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, fun.
I guess it depends on what you define as fun.
No, dude, I actually fucking love it. I watched both of the videos that I saw on the YouTube channel that you guys launched.
Yeah.
You and Heather, and honestly, like, I enjoyed it. Like, I watch a lot of those type of channels now that I'm like a regular YouTube watcher. A lot of it's like shit I watch of like DIY, do-it-yourself stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of like building stuff like that. So it's right in the vein of things I would have watched, like I watched a lady that like turned her van into a home and she like lives in that.
Oh, dude, the van life stuff is great.
And she documented the whole thing.
Yeah, Heather and I always tell Heather, had I not met her at the point in my life that I did, and if we hadn't gotten together, I probably would have ended up doing that van life stuff and just like living in a van by the river or like going across the country or something like that.
Well, and there's plenty of state parks. Like one of the girls I watch, actually, that's what she does. She just camps at national parks all over the United States. And I mean, obviously her favorites and my favorite episodes of hers to watch are the ones in like the northwest region of the country, just because the national parks up there are so beautiful. But
yeah,
other than that, I mean, it's awesome. She takes her dogs. She has like 3 dogs, and they like go to the beach and and all kinds of cool shit. Like they're on an adventure, man. And I don't know, like it just kind of like, I mean, I know I'm like watching it from my hometown, but it kind of inspires me to just like get out there. I mean, I don't by any means feel sad when I watch it because I'm inspired. Like I got plenty of freedom, so like I'm looking forward to doing shit like that.
Oh yeah,
in the future, dude, and even more. Like, and same with you, I'm sure. Like, once you save up and you're comfortable in your home, and I'm sure you guys are gonna still take trips and want to do things.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that today. I got Heather a really nice camera for her birthday last month, and so she's been taking photos already. We have an Instagram for our farm that she's been posting photos of from the farm and the garden and stuff like that.
Shout it out.
B Brook Farm. It's b.brook.farm. And like the few photos she has on there are already amazing. And she's barely even done any post-processing to them. Like the composition in them is great. So I don't know how she can just like pick up a camera and just like shoot photographs like that.
Yeah, it takes an eye. Like,
yeah,
there's a certain talent. Yeah, like it's not just having a nice camera. There is like definitely something to be said for not only like composition of a photo, but like angle and lighting and like just having that artistic vision, that eye. And some people are naturals. And design and all of that. Some people are just they got the juice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good, man. And I mean, and both of you are very, like, just from talking to both of you individually and together, you guys are both very smart people. There's like, and I'm not just speaking like, I mean, obviously book smart, but I'm talking about that, but smart in a sense like both of you are very logical, rational people.
Well, I'm glad that you think so.
Well, yeah, but like even like in our like party days, like you were still always very a rational person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you were always good to go to for advice and things like that, and a good talk. You know what I'm saying? And she seems to be very like cognitive, and she's really good at talking as well. So like for you guys to do a YouTube channel, that's a really good venture for both of you. I think not only will people enjoy watching you, because both of you also have nice personalities, so that makes it good too. You know what I mean? But like eventually, it'll be like informative in some ways, and I'm sure educational. And
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing most of the time.
That's
so.
what I mean, bro. Like that's part of the shit I love, dude. Like the guitar builds and shit, guys will start. Like I have this hunk of wood, and I'm gonna carve a guitar out of this wood. Well, there's all kinds of problems that dude's gonna run into.
Heather's dad does that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so Heather's dad is a wizard at. He can fix anything mechanical, any kind of engine, anything mechanical. Just like it works now somehow.
Yeah,
and
that man shit for no reason. It's
yeah,
crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
and he
shit.
builds guitars in his spare time. He's got a room full of vintage guitars that he's collected through the years and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, like Heather was telling me about, like, I don't know, like some older Strat that he's gonna give to her, or he was making for her or something. And I was like, man, I'm like, this one's a Frankenstein one that I'm building, but I mean, dude, like that's a dream for me, is to get like some authentic fucking Fender from, like pre buyout fucking Fender era, like some real Fender shit. And unfortunately, that's just so expensive. If guitar collectors have them, they pass them down, and you either have the money to buy that, or you are related to a person that has that, or you're not. And you know what I mean?
He's an amazing player too.
That's great.
Yeah.
So he was like blues or rock and blues, or what's his?
Yeah.
All that.
Like classic rock, basically, like 60s, 70s stuff. Some more modern stuff, like Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah.
Like that type of stuff.
He's a badass.
Yeah. John Denver, so like folksy type stuff too,
I love John Denver.
Yeah.
Rocky Mountain High, Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. My mom played John Denver to our daughter. So our daughter was born the day that COVID lockdown started in Colorado. We were in the hospital when the Tri-County Health Department in the Denver area did the lockdowns and was like, you can only go to essential businesses, wear a mask. Well, I don't think they had started saying wear a mask yet at that point, because the CDC hadn't started saying that yet, right? But it was like, don't go out, stay away from people, stay in your house. We were in the hospital. Like, we had a new baby.
Yeah, and it's scary. Like, not even just having a new baby, you're bringing life into this world, and then that type of shit's happening. Like, everything we've ever seen has been like, this is the apocalypse. Like, something like that is happening, Yeah,
so, I mean, I like to... Okay, so I like to watch YouTube when I'm multitasking and doing things, right?
Yeah, like in the background.
Like in the background, I'll like have a video going if I'm doing like something at night for work, or I'm doing whatever on another screen. And I like to listen to a lot of podcasts too, and I like to entertain a lot of silly ideas just for fun. And so I like to listen to a lot of conspiracy stuff, right? And so at that point in time, I had my grandfather had died in January. I got really sick and I went into the urgent care, and it was like the very beginning of February. I went into the urgent care. I got tested for the flu. They're like, you don't have the flu, but you have the flu. Like, that's what it looks like. So, like, here's a bunch of medicine, go home.
It's not the flu, but...
Yeah, and this was before COVID was, like, a thing, really, you know. But in the conspiracy circles, there were people saying, oh, shit, there's all this stuff going on in China. Like, it's like a coronavirus or something like that. So I was, like, in the urgent care. I'm like, yo, you guys need to test me for the coronavirus. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, we tested you for the flu. It said negative, but, like, it has a 75% effective rate anyway. So, like, you basically have the flu. So, like, here's medicine, go home. And so I went home, and I had, like, 104 fever for, like, 4 days. I had to cycle through using ibuprofen and acetaminophen, right? Every 4 hours back and forth, because you can only take so much of each in like 1 24-hour period, and you can only so close together. And that, it was probably like it wasn't the sickest I've ever been, but it was definitely really shitty. Like, I was on the couch in the living room of our apartment so that Heather, who was pregnant at the time, wouldn't get sick. She would stay in the bedroom, but she would also try and take care of me too, right? So, you know, I got better in like a week. It sucked.
Do you reckon you had the coronavirus?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I do.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like if it was like noticeable enough to where you were like, oh shit, like I haven't felt this sick before.
It hit me.
I don't know of a sickness that I've had that's like this.
I had like a wheezing cough come on in the morning at work, and by noon I could barely breathe. And that's when Heather was like, I told her I was going home from work because I didn't feel well. And she was like, you need to go to the urgent care to see a doctor right now. Like, I can hear you wheezing on the phone. Like, go into the doctor. I actually have a photo on my phone of me and the doctor, like a selfie on the table. Like, like, I'm alive still. I'm at the doctor.
Yeah, right, man. This is a sticky situation. So, like, after the baby was born, felt better? Or you were still, like, had residual effects? Or
I mean, I felt like a general malaise, I guess. Like, just like kind of like lethargic, just tired, but not like exhausted, just like that kind of feeling, right? And that lasted for probably like a month afterwards. And then I kind of got the spring back in my step again, you know, and everything was fine. And then I had a baby, and then I definitely got the spring back in my step after that.
Well, you had to, right?
Yeah.
No choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was saying, like, some people have, like, residual effects, like, 6 months after.
My aunt, my godmother, she still cannot smell or taste. It's been a few months. Actually, it's been 5 months now, something like that. Yeah. And so she can't smell or taste anything at all. And when she tries to eat stuff, she can only eat, like, vegetables and fruits, no meat. If she eats meat, because she started getting a little bit of smell and taste for certain things, the smell of meat or the taste of any kind of animal product tastes like cauterized flesh, like surgically. And so it's like, it disgusts her. So she's been losing a lot of weight because of this, because nothing tastes like anything, or it tastes bad. She can only taste a few things, so she gravitates more towards those instead of others.
You're forced into, like, being a vegan or a vegetarian, essentially, or that lifestyle, you know?
Yeah, and she typically loves those things. She would love the smell of baking. Can't stand to be in the room now because it smells like burnt flesh. So it's definitely interesting what it does to some people long term, you know.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Man. Like, my thing was, like, I was feel blessed I didn't get it. I mean, I was definitely sick at one point last year. Don't know if it was that or whatever, you know, because it was way before. It was like two months before, about a month before COVID. So I don't think it was.
Yeah, I'm actually blessed that we got it, because we actually ended up getting COVID again.
Oh.
This last January, all three of us got sick. Well, Maeve didn't get tested because you'd have to take them to a special pediatric hospital and to do all of that stuff. And she wasn't showing any symptoms or anything like that. And it had luckily been far enough into the pandemic at that point that there was like research available on how it affects children or how infectious it is towards children. And she was well within, like, she wasn't showing symptoms. She was probably not even contagious or had coronavirus at all.
Yeah. I mean, I heard like kids and like people, younger people, it doesn't hit them as hard. Their immune systems are either what they say like more developed or because they haven't been through as much, or
it wasn't necessarily clear in that regard. It was just the clinical data in terms of like how many like verified infections there were in populations of those like these age ranges and stuff like that. And then some models and some clinical samples on how in like it was how infectious it was like within groups of those kids. I know that they said that like schools were going to be really terrible if kids went back to school, but like that's not really like what the data showed in terms of the actual real world application stuff.
How do you reckon, was this made in a lab or was this wet market? Fucking somebody ate a bat. What do you reckon happened?
There was just a paper put out that the guy is very careful not to make claims about exactly or where it happens, but what he does say is that what they see from the gene samples is that there's a variant with 3 mutations and one with none. And so the one with the mutations on it is a later variant, right? And so that one shows up before the wet market. So
that was a man-made introduction.
Well, it's all probably man-made.
Well, hearsay, right? That's what I'm saying. It had to be, man. It had to be at least.
I've listened to some other evolutionary biologists and people that have proposed that due to the way that it behaves, that it has to be man-made through the way that they've analyzed it. There's been other people. There's evidence, some circumstantial stuff, some better. You know, it's always who really knows the answer unless somebody's got the smoking gun, and that so rarely happens these days anymore. So we always just have to filter through what's available and come up with the best answer, right?
Yeah.
Based off of our 5 senses and how we know how to like navigate these things.
And well, I mean, yeah, like you said, based off like the information they feed us, like what we have available to us, and then we can rationalize and base our own opinions on.
I mean, we know that what they feed us is garbage, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like on a national level,
it doesn't matter who you are, if you're R or D, like it's all garbage.
Yeah. If it's on the TV, it's filtered at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, Fox News is like that. CNN, MSNBC, they're all like that.
Like you just don't see, and I don't mean like it's not all like malicious, but I'm saying like you don't see anything they don't want you to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean it's all about dollars, right?
Yeah. Well, you got thousands of channels on your TV, and they're owned by like 5 or 6 companies.
That's everything nowadays, man.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And it absolutely is a problem. There's 4 large distributors for lumber that 2 of them are completely private companies, and you can't even see any of their financials. Like, there's 4 for all of the beef industry, Cargill, Tyson, JBS, and another one I can't remember. And that's how all the beef gets distributed, unless someone goes through like a local processor and gets it processed, like a beef cattle, and then it gets distributed out that way at a local level. If you get something in the supermarket, it's probably coming from one of those 4 beef distributors. And it's like, just pick an industry, and there's probably 2 to 5. If there's 5, then that's lucky, right? That there's that many in the space. That everything's been so. I hate to use the word monopolized.
No, it is. It is.
It is in a way, but there's still room in smaller space for people to operate, right? And it's when you want to play in the big leagues that things really become a problem, right? And I think it's the big leagues that are the problem.
Well, like
too.
say you're not one to play ball and you start your own shit. By the time you will have started to do anything substantial or of note, they will have tried to acquire you.
Oh,
at some point
they'll either try to acquire you, or they'll try to bankrupt you.
Sure.
They'll find a way to sue you and just make your legal expenses so costly that you can't even deal with it. They'll find some way to put the pressure on you using their resources that they have available to them, and that's just kind of the nature of how things work.
Unfortunately, that's in any industry. Anytime you see like corporatization, in an area.
It's like some thunder or something.
Is it
like
thunder?
that.
I was like, man, is there somebody at the door?
Yeah, it's a rainy day today.
Yeah, but like, anytime there's that type of corporate mindset that is instilled somewhere, you can expect there's like a disconnect between what needs to be done and the people and their needs and that fucking and the community and that corporation, because that corporation's there. And while it's a consumer-driven economy and like all of their products are going to be geared towards what is going to be sold to the people, they're not there for the people in a sense. Like not that the small, not like the small businesses would be. I mean, you see what I'm saying? And so it's harder for the mom and pop shops to exist because, like you said, man, they're able to.
They all got shut down, man.
They buy larger. Well, now, post COVID especially. But like even before that, right? Like Walmart's able to buy in such large quantity that they get such a cheap price that they can sell at a cheap price. And why would I know that I can go there and get it for $35 if you're charging $55?
Because people aren't educated enough. And that's not like a slight against people. It's more of it's just the information isn't as available to them, or it can be obscured sometimes, in terms of what the quality of the food that they're getting from the places that they're getting it, where it comes from, how it's actually produced, what the costs of those things are, what effect it has on you as a person. Like, if you put chemicals in soil where a plant grows and then you eat like toxic chemicals, right? Like some kind of industrial waste product or something horrid. And you grew plants that somehow actually came to maturity in soil like that, and then you ate those, they would probably be toxic. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And so why you wouldn't want to eat something like that. So why would you want to the saying you are what you eat.
Pump a chicken full of hormones and then eat the steroid breast,
I mean, it's not only that, it's like what kind of life did that animal live to get to that point? And I'm not leading you down this hey, I'm a vegan or anything like that. Like no, I love meat.
Yeah.
Like barbecue's fucking
I get where you're going with it though, right? Like so like a free range pig probably tastes better.
Okay, so here's something for you. There's some terminology. Free range can be if they're using it on products that you get from the store. Free range is interesting because sometimes they only have so much open space that they can go around in or whatever. I would say that the pinnacle of something like that, would be pastured, where it's like an animal is out on pasture somewhere, which is a large open area of land outside where there's natural grasses and plants that grow. They can forage from the landscape there. That's what they get in their diet. Sometimes you can supplement them with a little feed if they need it. But that's where they live, is outdoors, eating from where they would normally eat from, right? And I've seen in proper environments examples of pork, like heritage breeds of pork raised on pasture like that is so dark it looks like beef. like this dark, rich, red, purplish color of meat. Just like the quality, you don't like you go to the grocery store and the pork you see is like pale whitish
I don't know.
pink.
I don't know that I've ever seen what you're talking about, to be honest. Like that color, that purplish.
Yeah, I know.
Color,
It's shocking to somebody because what's widely available is produced at such a high rate of efficiency that the quality of the product you get is, while it may be homogeneous, like all of the product is within the same range of itself or competitors, compared to what it could be, it's sorely lacking. Or historically, what it probably had been for people for a long time before the industrialization of these products became mainstream. They became monopolized by large players in the space, like in the meat industry, like those 4 companies that we talked about, that people don't get, even if they think that they're eating healthy because they're getting food from the grocery store, that they could, like, a lot of it's still not great for you, and that the quality of those things is subpar.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I don't know, for like most of us, I think I think what most people, the comment to stuff like that would just be just that, like, really healthy food is really expensive.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, and I think even like the good shit, like, you know, like you get like the people that know, like you're talking about, the people that really know what the good shit is, and that probably appreciate good food. They know that it, you know.
Oh yeah, like one pastured chicken is like $15 for a whole chicken, right?
That's not that bad.
It's not terrible when you break it down into the pieces, and you can take the bones and stuff and make like stock out of it as well.
Sure, yeah.
But you have to know how to do all of those things, right? You have to have the knowledge and the experience to feel comfortable getting a whole chicken and breaking it down and utilizing all of those pieces in some way to get the most value for your dollar out of it,
Well,
right?
that's not the American way, right? I'm gonna spend fucking an hour dissecting this chicken. I can get my McChicken for $1, and I can dissect that in 30 seconds.
Yeah, but how do you feel after you
Terrible.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I was talking about the other day is like on your way to like eat McDonald's, you got like that sugar high because your brain like has been trained because all the sugar that's in it. Like you're like, oh, I'm getting something.
Yeah.
It's like your reward like is triggered in your brain. It's like a reward sense, you know. And you're like, ooh, and you're like so excited, you're slap happy when you eat it. And then yeah, like you're saying, like like 10 minutes later, there's always like a crash. And I mean, obviously, fast food makes you feel like shit. Doesn't matter what it is, but I think it's a sugar crash in that particular sense. There's like because they put it in their food, it's in their cheese, it's in their bread, it's in the sauce, the sugar and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the sugars too. It's the blends of fats and proteins that you get. All of those things in combination make it, you know, something you just really, it's hard to resist wanting to eat one. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of that stuff that's fucking delicious.
Yeah.
Like, it tastes great, but I've made plenty of meals myself that the quality of the flavor in them far exceeds what I could get in a fast food meal.
Yeah.
You know?
You realize you've been trading like dimes for dollars or dollars for dimes. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm looking at that meal because it's quick and easy, and while it tastes decent,
yeah, it's quick. That's one of the things. It takes time to cook a meal that tastes really good,
dude. You know? over COVID, I was like, I live here by myself, obviously, so like, it was just like the whole, you know, like I was like, oh, if I want to eat good food, I have to cook it, and for me, and what sucks, like I was like, well, I want fucking lasagna. And so that week I looked up a legit lasagna recipe.
How long did it take you to make that lasagna recipe?
So fuck all of those recipe websites that are like, oh, an hour, a 30-minute prep time, 1 hour cook time, in my fucking ass, dude. Like look, like in those fucking that lasagna shit. It was like recipes with Penny or something.
Oh, man.
And Penny's way the fuck off. She's a super oven or something, dude. It took like at least 2 hours to cook. Just like evenly everywhere, like to where I was happy with it. And even then, I probably could have cooked it a little longer just to get it firmer. But it was really good, actually. The second one was way better than the first one. But yeah, like it was just like a lot more work than I expected it. Just because like you had to cook everything individually, and then the layering. And then like the baking, and then you have to make sure everything cooks in that regard. And
Yeah, and I mean, there's always like other things depending on like how in depth you're going with that recipe. Like it could be your sauce comes from a jar, your noodles you got from a box,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
the cheese you got from a bag, but it could be maybe you're making the sauce from scratch. Like how much more time does that add?
No, yeah, and I
Like,
definitely didn't.
what if you had to make the noodles yourself? How much more time does it
way.
add to make the noodles?
I
too?
actually fucked up the first time, and I bought the oven ready noodles instead of buying the ones I have to boil.
Yeah.
And like the first one was like a little crispy on the outside for that reason. And everybody's like, you fucked up about the oven ready noodles. And I was like, no, he fucking told me I don't make lasagna every day, you know. But like a few months later, I made it again, and I did like the regular noodles, and I boiled them, and it turned out really good. I mean, I used ricotta cheese, but like it was store bought. Everything was store bought. Like bought the fancy fucking red sauce that I could find, you know, like the culinary.
I mean, like everything's store bought though.
Yeah.
Like unless you have a garden in your backyard or
yeah.
you're raising animals yourself, like we
But
get
I'm
everything
saying, like,
from the store.
I suppose I could go to the store and like buy all the tomatoes and smash them and do the bullshit, but I definitely did not.
Yeah. And that's a lot of work to want to do that. And that takes like a whole day, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I had to cook beef and chorizo, and I mean, I still had to put like all the ingredients and shit together. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I like didn't do anything, but yeah, like I mean, the red sauce came out of a fucking jar. I dumped it in a in a pot, you know, and cooked it.
So the struggle is always like finding meals that are really great quality, but don't take 2 hours to make, like lasagna. And so like sometimes I crave lasagna, and you want to make the lasagna, and you do it one day, and it takes you a lot of time to do it, and you just suck it up.
Well, no, then the problem is like especially for me because I'm single, I live here, bro. But for the next 3 days, I'm eating fucking lasagna, bro. And before it's even gone, I'm like, fuck that lasagna.
I'll tell you what, I've never had a problem with getting tired. If something's really good and I enjoyed eating it, I'll just eat it. I'll just eat it until it's gone.
Yeah.
I've never had a problem getting sick of it.
When I lived with Dom and Chris and we were broke and we were staying Southside, I was working at Jimmy John's, dude. And I never got tired of eating Jimmy John's. Like every day, I mean, we were broke. So like it was, and I was like, the night shift people didn't give a fuck. I was like taking sandwiches home for like Dom and Chris most of the time.
Dude, when you're hungry though, like if you're getting food, like whatever that food is like.
Well, and to be honest, dude, like Jimmy John's, like we cut it every day. Like I watch it get done. It's pretty fresh compared to like Subway and other places.
Oh yeah.
You know, same thing with Chipotle. It was like, they definitely higher their standards in every way. Like I remember sweeping the floor. My fucking GM came up behind me like a fucking ninja, like, and just snuck up and was like, higher your standards. And like I remember like mopping the floor, and I'm like, I'm fucking trying. Hold on a sec.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, move this fucking thing. We're back. My dad was banging on the door, and apparently he called me. My show's on vibrate, and it's funny because it was like the coolest thing he could have possibly interrupted me for. He gave me a guitar. Some dude gave him a Music Man Stingray guitar to give me, and it's fucking really cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, sorry about that though. Yeah, normally we take a bathroom break or something, but that was like a guitar break, technically.
The best kind of break to take.
The best kind of break, I would say.
Yeah, those little things in life that just make a day a little bit better, or just kind of make you smile a little bit, are always the sweetest, right?
Well, especially because I'm on this like upswing of like collecting guitars. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm definitely buying less weed, and I'm trying to like.
Well, you seem to be like doing really good for yourself lately.
Better than in a really long time, and probably better than most of my adulthood life, as far as like a happiness standpoint. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I'm happy. It's just that like I'm like learning to be happy. You know?
It's like
the pursuit of happiness.
It's like that song "Way Less Sad" by AGR, where it's like I'm not happy, but I'm way less sad now.
Yeah, man, and like that works for me. To be honest, like you know, like it was all about contrast. You know, I had something the other day with somebody. I was like, well, look, like the awesome times wouldn't be that awesome if the shitty times weren't so fucking shitty. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, like in those who've been through the bullshit, like you know, you appreciate the shit you know you got like after a while. You know what I mean? And people that don't go through certain experiences don't gain those life lessons.
I think that's a common thing these days, though, is a lot of people don't they just don't ever really have to experience a lot of struggle in their lives, and so they don't really understand a lot of what's going on, to no fault of their own, right? Society doesn't really like allow them, school doesn't allow them to, come into contact with these things. Society doesn't, so they just kind of live their lives blissfully unaware without struggle, and it weakens everything in the long run.
Yeah. I like what is it? Horace said talents adversity has the ability to elicit talents that would have otherwise lain dormant in prosperous circumstances.
Yeah.
And so like, and that like, it's so telling because it's so fucking true. Like, the things you learn in the hard times are like the valuable lessons that you wouldn't have gotten had you stayed in your comfort zone or had you.
Yeah, I think it's all just a function of like our lifespan as a human being, and that we're prone to certain things, right? And history always seems to repeat itself in certain ways.
Yeah.
And so
In every way,
it's all cyclical. There's the saying, there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
Everything's always existed in some form, in some ancient way. It's just adapted adapted to the modern age, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about music at work today, and then that issue came up, and I was like, well, if you think about it, like we're into the digital age of music, well into it, almost out of it in a sense, and not that I mean it's going anywhere. Like we have that now. It's just like a gain tool in a musician's tool belt. Like now I have this. You know what I mean? But I think everything's coming back. Like real music's coming back. Real instruments are being cool again.
I think the real.
Yeah.
As like a concept, what is the real is coming back in general a lot more.
Yeah, authentic. And like I watched a fucking like 45-minute performance of the fucking Migos, and they're dudes, all real instruments, real drummers, real guitars. Like I was like, okay, like I'm not a huge Migo fan, but like when I see that, I was like, all right, well, it's moving in a direction that like it's not about my acceptance by any means. It's more about like, this feels like more authentic. Like you guys are pushing to make music with a band, and now it's more about composition and less about like, oh, I'm just spitting this fucking Hot 12 on this YouTube beat.
I mean, that stuff's always going to be out there, though, right?
I mean, it should be. There's always a room for mixtape stuff. But if you want to make a classic, and if you have their money, that's the other thing. Is like, it's me. Sitting where I'm at, dude, if I had millions of dollars, the record that I could produce would be fucking amazing.
But you see, if you had millions of dollars, you wouldn't. Maybe you would make your own studio and do these things yourself. But in the world of making a record, I'm not an expert at this, so I'm just making assumptions here, though, right? Based off of what I know about the world. There are so many different people involved with making a record. There's so many contractual obligations and agreements roped up into the making of a record from different people and parties and agents and all of these types of things. Mm-hmm. That $3 million, like if it were $3 million, that all gets gone.
It's a single.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to get national radio play, that's a single.
Yeah.
$3 million is gone. Like with the video and the single, like that's gone. And that's the whole album budget. But the thing is, like, the people that really do it well can do it at home. You know what I mean? Like Russ, like bro, like Russ.
That's the wonder of the modern day, right?
He's a great example because like he figured out how to do quality audio production from his living room, to the point where it is like quality, like industry standard quality. And what he's doing is he's making his own beats, he's recording it, he's writing his own songs, he's shooting his own videos, he's doing everything himself, and he's proven that you can do it on a national level and be successful and do everything yourself. And I mean, that's inspirational, and you're right. That's like moving forward. That's where we're going. We're getting away from those horrendous contracts and and honestly, the money's always going to be there. It's always tempting. Like anytime, doesn't matter what industry you're in, you could be a hockey player. If you've been playing hockey your whole life and the Blues comes and dangles fucking $3 million in front of you, you're going to jump, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, but I think that we have to try and combat this by trying to change culture, right? Because this is all cultural, right?
Yeah.
People will say maybe money's the root of all evil. Maybe that transcends culture to a certain extent, but I'd like to believe that it's cultural, right? There have been times where there hasn't been money. People bartered for things. Didn't live in those times. Don't know what it was like really, so I can't really talk about that. But
Yeah.
we got to try and change the culture, and so we need to try and move into, things that are real. People are waking up to seeing that a lot of this stuff is bullshit.
Yeah, we got to take back the knowledge to take back the power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the internet allows us to do that these days, right? Like, there's a lot of misinformation and really bonkers shit out there.
Sure. But, like, would you say more or less in your textbooks?
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Equal amounts, like
that's why, like, when people ask me like where I get my information from, and I like cite an internet source, and I get like a snicker, it's kind of funny to me because I'm like, you are literally citing a spoon-fed fucking news source from the people that I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And it's not like, and I understand like that George in his mom's basement in fucking Seattle could be feeding me a line of bullshit, but also, like, if there's even a grain of truth in a thought-inspiring conversation that would make me ask questions that I would otherwise not ask. Because, like, like, I wasn't like, when I was a kid and 9/11 happened, I wasn't a fucking 9/11 conspiracist.
Oh, sorry about that. That's the brush my daughter's teeth alarm.
Nice. Hell yeah. Gotta stay on it, dude.
Yeah.
But, like, when 9/11 happened, like, I was young. I wasn't a 9/11 conspiracist. Like, this dude was saying that his dad sold flags and he inherited his dad's flag business and they were broke, and then 9/11 happened and they were like multimillionaires after that. And like, patriotism was inspired. Like, I was caught up in that wave, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, we were kids. Like, how is it? Yeah. How are we not supposed to get, I think that's part of it though, is we're kids and like, we're supposed to get caught up in the wave of that, Yeah.
Well, and what's crazy was that every adult in my life was also caught up in that, in a form of hysteria. And even within my life, there was a certain degree of Islamophobia that was going on around me, not like in my direct home with my dad or anything, but certainly like my grandma, who was like stuck here at the house watching Fox News.
Yeah.
And like, she was always like her own person and was able to watch whatever she wanted, but like, after 8 hours of Glenn Beck and fucking Bill O'Reilly, dude, you're pretty fucking paranoid, dude. And like...
Yeah, but so that's corporate media for you,
Facts.
right? It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, Fox News pitches one thing at whatever their constituency is to get... It's fear porn.
Yeah.
Right? Because
I don't like CNN either. I'll just make that clear for listeners and shit. I didn't want it to seem like I'm just shooting at Fox. Like, I don't like CNN.
No, you're picking from personal experiences, right? Like, your grandma watched Fox News. You don't seem like you're picking out Fox to be specific. I just try it.
I don't like Fox, but
I'm not Democrat or Republican, so I just typically try and speak in those terms because that's the most even-handed way to speak about it, right?
Yeah.
And so they're all bad. Their goal is to either make money or run cover for the people that pay their bills behind the scenes, right? Like, we all know the quote elite launder money at a ridiculous level.
Yeah.
They lobby out their asses to get laws passed in their favor or to regulate competitors in their fields.
I love when Trump's tax shit came out and they were like, oh, people were just like, oh, I mean, if you were him, you would do the same thing. Isn't that just being... And like, he made the implication that like he's smart and that's why he doesn't pay taxes.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I would, if I couldn't pay taxes,
facts.
I wouldn't.
Facts.
Right?
Especially on that level. If I had his level of income and they would charge me, an astronomical amount per year. No, I don't want to pay those taxes, but at the same time, it's like, all right, dude. Like, I get my little 2-week paycheck, and they fucking drain funds from it every.
Oh, dude, it definitely doesn't make it hurt any less, right?
Yeah.
For them to just suck it out of you like that.
He wouldn't notice it, bro. And like, in his particular case, like, he puts out funds to like fight so much court fees a year. You know what I mean?
They all do.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like having the money to just constantly have lawyers on your disposal going to court for you.
Yeah.
And then you never have to go to court. You never have to deal with it.
The Democrat Republican dynamic, that binary is a false binary, and it's
Facts.
purposefully put there to
Yeah.
keep regular people divided
Yeah.
by on a line that's imaginary.
I agree.
And it keeps them occupied, us, from realizing that all of these people who exist in this upper crust with all of this, I don't want to say it's just money that causes this to happen, but they've wielded power and influence in a corrupt system for long enough that they don't care about what happens with us. They just do their own thing. They're all buddy, and they're all enemies. Right? Yeah. Like that's how it works in Satan's court, to use a metaphor, right? Yeah. Like there are no friends there, but there's temporary allies always. Game of Thrones comes to mind, right? Like there's murder all the time. They get backstabbed. Exactly. Moves. Power moves. Yeah. I don't want to live in a world like that. Yeah. I like to live in a world where I know that the man next to me's got my back.
No, that's the world we live in, though, bro.
Yeah. I'm not saying that. Yeah. I don't think that that's not the world we live in. But I think that we can choose to create our own worlds.
I agree.
And with that power, I choose to live in a world where what I want to be reality is reality.
You'll never be able to control other people, but you can definitely control who you allow in your life, and you can control, like you're saying, like what you do with your life, and in a sense, like, I don't have to deal with society, but occasionally you're going to have to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And crackhead Bob is still going to approach you at the, and like I've just like learned like how, people are people, dude. And so I'm trying to in that sense.
So like I worry about those things all the time. Yeah. Right? Like you see on the news, and at some level I recognize that like what you see on the news is purposefully put there to scare you and evoke a sense of fear.
Yeah.
And like I'm still a human being, and I still am influenced by those things, even though I'm aware of the effects of these things, right? And so like you see people getting shot out in public and stuff like that. And whether or not you agree with passing gun legislation would make that any better, like it doesn't make a person want to go out in a crowded place in public when that, like, especially when they have a daughter. I don't want to take my daughter out somewhere like that in public where she could be at risk of being killed by a crazy person.
Yeah. Or even now that you have a daughter, right? Like say like I came and picked you up, right? Well, me and you were out there. We die, and then she doesn't have a dad coming home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like, why? Because we want to go to a fucking Jason Aldean concert or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah. I'm not interested in those things anymore. Like, my family is my number one priority.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's kind of a good segue for, like, Heather and I have this YouTube channel.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, I definitely wanted to highlight that because like I said, I watched the 2 episodes I was able to see. I don't know if there's more on there or not, but
yeah, she's editing constantly and taking footage whenever she can squeeze it in, and putting up episodes. So I think there's a garden tour of our garden at my mom's where we're staying while we renovate the trailer. The mobile home.
So it's Zach and Heather what?
Oh, it's actually our official name now is Brook Farm.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's like B.Brook Farm on Instagram, B.Brook Farm on Facebook, B.Brook Farm on YouTube as well. You can search that and it should pop up pretty much anywhere you want.
Man. And like this is gonna be a cool little journey, man, because like Zach said, obviously he was being modest, or they say he doesn't know how to do anything, but there are some things you're going to learn about just rehabbing and like working in general. You're like, oh, I've never done this particular type of work before. You're using tools that you've maybe not used as much for the first time, or I've
always been a lifelong learner though.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to keep your body healthy and your mind healthy, you have to continually take on challenges in your life. And it's when you become stagnant that the bad things happen to you, right? And so along with that, I think it's also important when you're going through this journey with a partner that you're committed to long-term through marriage or some other kind of bond, that you have to have shared visions for the future, right? It's important for a healthy relationship for the person that you're sharing your journey with to have a shared vision of what your future together is going to look like. And so we really believe, and we've talked about food and the quality of food, right? We personally believe in the concept of trying to be more self-sufficient in terms of knowing where your food comes, being able to provide your food for yourself. We've had a vision of these things before COVID happened, but once the lockdowns happened and people went crazy, and you go to the grocery store. I don't know if it happened here, but in Colorado, you would go to the grocery store, everything would be gone. Yeah. Luckily, Heather has celiac disease and can't eat wheat. No gluten for her. It's like it's worse than an allergy. All the gluten-free stuff was still on the shelves.
Hey, there you go. Man,
it was still hard to get some things, but
I did see some pretty some shit that like made me question my moral stance on humanity's current situation. Like old lady that like everybody took all the TP and all the bullshit, right? But there's like old ladies that like literally can't fight you for the last pack, or
that's where we have to rely on culture to put good people in the world. That will be the person that will see the old lady and know who they are in their community and check on them and make sure that they're okay, and say, hey, I have toilet paper that you don't have, here's some toilet paper.
I love when my grandma was alive, she helped me, I helped her. Like, it was like I loved her so much. Like, I literally can't stand by in public when I see elderly people struggling, not getting treated fairly, especially like in public, like in a situation like that, like where we should be sharing and have a little bit of fucking humanity. But in here,
American culture these days doesn't create people that act in that way.
No way.
It's divisive. It creates fear and anger, fear of the other. That comes through as like sometimes what people will call racism and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of perceived racism out there, but like that's not something we have to go into because it's a really touchy topic for a lot of people.
I get what you're saying though. I definitely get what you're saying.
But regardless, like America as a country has been going through a cycle of empire. I believe we're coming to the end of that cycle. I don't think that means the end of America forever. I think it just means that the global order of things is probably shifting a little bit, and things are changing like they always do throughout all of history, and things have been really good for people for a while, and things go not so good after that at some point, I
was like, and I always go back to Joe Rogan somehow, but he was talking about that concept, and he was talking about like the great long history of America, and he's like, it's not fucking real. He's like, it's 300 years. It's 3 people ago. People lived to be 100. That's 3 people ago.
Yeah. You want to know what the craziest part of that, though, is? Still, even though it doesn't seem like that long ago to us, the United States government, as it stands from the Declaration of Independence into the Constitution, is the longest standing government in the world right now. Yeah. How fucking crazy is that?
It's scary.
It's scary. People come and go, countries come and go, entire empires fall and go to dust like that.
Yeah.
And people have no clue at the scale of these things in terms of history because they never learn it. Our human experience is so short in the scale of all of that we can't even comprehend it.
Well, they're definitely delaying the inevitable. We're like, and here in America especially, I mean, Western culture, I would say, and we've definitely had our influences on other countries just based on things we have and whatever. But honestly, we get everything from fucking Asia anyway, as far as technology goes.
That's the Thefaucian Deal, right? That's the devil's bargain that they make when they took away the gold standard in Nixon's administration, and it just made it so that we can just print dollar bills that don't mean anything at all because they're not backed by anything than a bunch of numbers
and a computer.
I mean, computers were just infantile at that point anyway, but they're just numbers in ones and zeros in a computer now, which makes it even more abstract and fake.
I can manipulate that if I had control of that.
If you can control the system and you're at the top of the sphere.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I am the National Guard and I'm like, oh, we need more money. Bloop.
Yeah. I mean, whenever a bank in the Federal Reserve banking system gives out a loan, it essentially creates money out of nothing because they don't have money to loan you to begin with.
It's a high interest loan on something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's a scam is what it is. And like, I think more people in a way are waking up to how the system is rigged against them in that way at multiple levels, and that it's all a house of cards that at some point is going to come down. And that's the deal that they made, though, is when they took away the gold standard and we started just printing monopoly money, like, you have to export all of your industry out of the country in order to maintain a high enough trade deficit to continue to be able to print. Because if all of that money that you're printing goes into your own economy, the rate of inflation is so insane, your dollars mean nothing. So all of those dollar bills have to go outside of your country where they can't be influential in your own market. But guess what? They still come back into your market.
They have to.
China's using all the dollar bills that we've sent over to them to buy up our own real estate and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it isn't smart for them to do that.
Sure.
It's dumb for America to have put itself in that position to begin with.
It's very profitable, and I don't blame them for taking advantage of it.
Right.
You know?
If you're being shrewd and you're playing by the rules of the game and you're...
Well, we were using them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Initially. Like, how dare you play the game better than we did? And, you know, like... You know, and it's not like we're not getting anything out of the deal. You know what I'm saying? You can't be the pimp and the prostitute too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, America at least still has more freedoms for people that live in that country than China does at this juncture in time. So I'm still going to be more for living in America than living somewhere like China.
Facts.
Like, fundamentally, at the end of the day.
But I mean, shit, like, Canada doesn't have anything. We don't have anything that Canada doesn't have.
Canada is terrible right now. Have you been to? Have you heard about Canada?
I'm talking about in terms of like living comfort. Like,
I mean, there's still lockdowns for coronavirus in Canada. You can't go outside in public.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are opposition party members for the parliament in Canada that have been sent to jail by the majority party because of the legislation they've put in place to prosecute people who go out in public without like orders and stuff like that.
Based on coronavirus.
Yeah, all time, and they've had COVID detention camps in Canada where if you come into the country from outside of the country and you test positive for coronavirus, you get taken away by the authorities to some hotel that you can't know the location of, and then you can't contact your family and tell them where you are, and you have to stay there for 2 to 3 weeks or until you you don't test positive anymore or until it's safe. And who gets to define those things? The government. The government does.
They did that in what was it, Taiwan or something too? There was another, like, one of those countries in Asia did the same thing where they had like a hotel that they had designated for like a quarantine hotel essentially. Yeah. But like you said, those people were like stuck there. I mean, while I'm not for making anybody do anything forcefully like that.
Yeah, I'm fundamentally at the end of the day, I'm pro people being able to do whatever they want as long as they don't fuck with other people.
I just meant like pre-COVID, COVID aside, however you want to look at it, like. In Canada, I can buy that TV, I can buy this microphone, I can buy the same quality of weed and comfort that I have here in America up there, and I get free healthcare.
Yeah, the free healthcare thing, I've heard arguments from a lot of sides that, like, there's waiting lists, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I haven't been to Canada. I haven't been through the healthcare system. I don't personally know a Canadian that can vouch for me or tell me stories about what it's like, so... Who knows?
I'm not a big fan of him, but Steven Crowder, he's the dude that does like that Louder Crowder.
I know who Steven Crowder is. Yeah.
So like he's kind of a tool, but
yeah, he is kind of a tool.
But he's knowledgeable. In certain ways.
He's articulate, and he can be right sometimes on some things. Yeah. Right? Just like anybody out there can be right sometimes on some things. Yeah. And that's like what a lot of people fail to realize these days.
But he is Canadian. He did speak on that whole like he speaks on like how much better America is. Yeah. Than Canada. And so like, you know, like, and in terms, he really speaks against the healthcare system. And I guess that was an experience he could have had from living there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I mean, here's so I have a friend who's still out in Colorado. I'm not going to say name names or anything like that because people around here might know who these people are, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's all good.
Anyway, they had a partner. They're no longer with that partner anymore, but the partner now has cancer or might have cancer, right? They're very sick. And they're not doing so good physically. Like when you look at them, they're not doing so hot anymore. And so that person is on Medicaid, right? Which is basically government health care from the United States government. And their last doctor basically said, well, you might have liver cancer or you might not. Basically can't tell you. Maybe you should go find a specialist and they can let you know. And then, but here's the catch. To get in to see the specialist, you have to get approval from Medicaid for it to be billed so that they can get you in to see them. And that can take like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And then who knows if the doctor has availability. So it might take another month after that gets approved before you can actually get in to see them if you're lucky these days, right? And so if you have like stage 3 liver cancer, what does like 8 weeks mean in terms of like getting effective treatment to
I could die if it's
bad enough.
It's too bad. And then the fact that they're not able to tell you the degree or like you said, like even if you have it, oh, you might have to go to a specialist. Well, bro, this might be my life. Like I could die today.
Yeah.
Or tomorrow or whatever, or next week or 2 years from now, you know?
Yeah. And so like the empathetic human part of me that really loves human beings and human potential and seeing like good people get what they deserve and good people doing good things, like really loves the idea of socialized healthcare for everybody, where like if you're sick, you can go to the doctor and you can be made well again, right? Like that sounds like a great idea, but everything I know about the government like sucks, right? Like logically when I try and break it down, it just goes, how could it ever be good for people when nothing the government has done has ever been good for people?
Yeah.
Like it's only been to enrich themselves or some other party in some way, or to gain more power for themselves.
You're right. I think it's a double-edged sword, though. Yeah, because then, like, so, like, and I agree with everything you just said. Like, but like, if we rely on that thought process, then technically we are leaning on capitalism to do the right thing.
Oh, dude, that's the like the sword of Damocles, right? That like hangs over your head is like. People would pose the like capitalist argument for it, right?
It's good and bad because like competition's a good thing.
Oh,
it inspires
absolutely.
The market.
Meritocracy is a good thing for people to receive value or worth based on the merit of like services or goods or talent that they provide. Mm-hmm. Like that's a great way to organize a hierarchy or a system if you want to have excellence, right? Obviously, there's always going to be people, though, that aren't excellent or aren't even good or aren't even subpar. They're just bad. Mm-hmm. And, like, how do we manage that, too, right? Because they're going to be unhappy. Even if society provides for them, there's going to be discontentment at a certain fundamental level, right? Like, I think we as human beings, we've only been so cushy for so long historically as a species that, like, we need the struggle. We need that.
We're already fat house cats, though. Like we're already not lions. We are Garfield now. You know,
I mean,
as a society,
there's amazing people out there that can do amazing things.
I'm sure there are. Like, yeah. I mean, I just meant like as a blanket generalization, like even in America, because like even there's healthy people that instead of learning a craft or watching their favorite fucking Hulu show right now, and that's great. We're wasting time talking on a fucking podcast, getting ready to smoke some dabs. Like, however you decide to spend your time is up to you. But I'm saying, like, you're not wasting your life in the sense, like, if I'm not working for a corporation and I'm not, like, chasing financial prosperity, then it's real easy for me to feel like my life doesn't have a sense of purpose in today's societal frame.
Absolutely.
You know, and I just think that's so wrong because we as a society don't put enough value on passion or finding something that tickles you pink inside when you do it.
Right. That's so
whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, that goes into like other problems people have these days with the government too, is like, I love the idea of socialized healthcare, but I know how implementation can be really bad. Right. But I also don't like corporations just sucking people dry for every little penny, because that's how it would end up being in the reverse, right?
Yeah.
How is that type of thing managed? It's a tough question.
And ideally, there's a middle ground. I'm heating up this torch for people. Obviously, people who can hear fucking rage and fire over. But ideally, there's a middle ground where like the corporate entities and the government can like work together to make everything better for the people. I don't know how real that gray area actually is anymore. You know what I'm saying? Just like the division between rich and poor and good and bad, and everything seems to be much more defined these days. As capitalism moves on, like you said, like, well, it's great. Like, it furthers the market, and like competition's great. Like, it's healthy. Because I don't like monopolies, I actually like that, like having a market where a new company can come in and be like, oh, well, we're just as good for cheaper. That's great, right? But then that company grows to do the same thing that the company before them did. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, where do we end? Like, if there's rampant capitalism that's not checked at all, then we have, like a problem, because then they could treat people however they want in the name of the dollar.
Right. Well, it wouldn't even be a dollar anymore, because it wouldn't be like the government wouldn't be a thing. The United States wouldn't be a thing. Like, it would be Coca-Cola land,
right,
or something like that.
It is essentially like with the way lobbyism is.
That's the problem today, though, is like we have this argument that we're talking about right now about, well, if it was government or if it was not government but purely capitalist, like all these corporations, like it doesn't even fucking matter between either of those things, because like both of them fucking exist today, right now.
We're living
in both right now.
Exactly.
Like, and they're in bed together.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they're playing both sides. And they're
exactly.
Like, yeah, that's funny. It's very true. We're the kind of the odd man out. You know what I mean? Like we're not in on the joke. You know what I mean? And they are.
And they're laughing it all the way to the bank, right?
Facts. Like literally, quite literally.
Yeah, because they own the bank.
They are the bank.
They are the bank.
Yeah.
With the monopoly money.
Man. Yeah, dude. Yeah, and that's so true, man. And like, I guess you having a kid, especially, is probably like redefined your sense of purpose, and like redefine what you are pursuing as like as a person. Like everything's got to be about the kid, right? But like in a good way. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely, in a good way. Having a kid, and you always hear this from people, like, oh, having a kid changes your life. Like, it fucking changes your life. Like, there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I feel like there are levels to it. Like, there are levels to everything. And when you're in a loving relationship with a partner and it's something that you want really bad, that there's another level to that experience.
Yeah, 'cause that doesn't happen too often. This isn't like a one-night stand that like developed. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
Like I'm choosing to like actively try to like create a family with you.
Right, like there's a little less divinity in the experience, right?
Yeah.
Because it's almost, I would almost describe it as a divine religious experience.
Yeah.
To be like in the confines of a relationship.
And choosing to start a family.
And not only that, witnessing a small human life, like, coming into the world and learning about it, right? Like, that's the coolest part, is like seeing the little tiny gears turning, and like figuring out the patterns, and like just doing something new for the first time spontaneously, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's all just so wicked, like in a cool way.
Seeing pictures, like parts of your personality and Heather's personality.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the baby.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the crazy part is she's not even like a baby anymore.
Right,
she's like,
saying
she's
words.
15 months old now.
Yeah.
She talks.
Saying words.
She can say words. She doesn't really. She's kind of lazy, and she can speak. She knows a lot of words. Her comprehension is unreal.
Yeah.
You can have a conversation with her, and she will understand everything that you're saying to her, and she will give you responses, like either through some sign language or like through head gestures or acknowledging you.
Yeah.
She can speak with words, and it's funny when she talks or babbles, but she's really lazy, and she keeps her mouth shut and like talks with her mouth closed.
Because she knows you understand what the fuck I'm trying to say right now.
Yeah.
You got the point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
That's good.
And that's like everything, though, is she's just like she's hilarious.
Yeah, man. That's
Like,
awesome, dude.
Yeah, and she's really cute too.
I just want to say, you know, I mean, I am single and all that shit, but like that, I do have some admiration for choosing that lifestyle. I mean, I understand like you guys did fall in love, and it was like a very organic thing for you. But like you said before, it was like hard work. It's not like you guys didn't work to be where you're at, and like there's a thing, you know, like all the struggles like made it stronger. You know what I'm saying? And like that's the way it should work. I think.
I mean, that's any relationship, platonic or romantic, right? You have to invest a certain amount of energy and awareness into the relationship in order to cultivate it to the point where it can flourish properly, right?
Man.
Like people can stay acquaintances and that's fine. But if you want to have lasting relationships with people, there's discussion and compromise and understanding that's required. And the more intimate those relationships are, the more these things have to be considered, right? I've definitely been an idiot and a fool and a dumbass plenty of times in all of the years we've been dating and we've been married. But we've always been able to reconcile our differences, and we've always been able to understand when we are the one that has made a mistake or been wrong.
That's important.
That's a very important one.
Just ownership.
Yeah. Ownership is very important, and made a visible effort to change a negative toxic trait that we've had either from like trauma in our childhood or something like that for the better, right?
You recognize it and then you have to uproot it, you know, and that's maybe with the help of another person, but also like understanding that I have this skew. You know what I'm saying? I have this perception, and it's a skewed perspective because of trauma or from whatever. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's a trust issue. Maybe it's just maybe I'm jealous or whatever.
Yeah. It could be anything for anybody.
Whatever it is, you know, maybe it's an insecurity, maybe it's jealousy or whatever. But like like you're saying, it's just like learning that about yourself and being able to live your life accordingly, and not putting that off onto other people. And that's even something I'm learning, because even as like a single guy, you know, like and this coming back around, what I wanted to ask you about was just like, just really what I wanted to say about your relationship is just like, it is nice to see. I have another friend, you know, Dylan Hugalo. So like him and his wife, and like you and Heather are like two really good examples of like friends that I'm close with that have relationships that I admire, in a sense that like, not that it didn't take struggles to get there, that it's like an easy thing to exist, but like that it exists in a sense that like
thanks. I appreciate the compliment.
I'm saying that we love each other, and this is like an organic, genuine thing, and we're trying like, and Dylan and Alyssa are very like that in the same way as like you and Heather are, that it's like, I could tell they love each other, and there's something there that's more than just like flesh, or more than just money, and it's more than just like a shotgun responsibility because we have a baby. You know what I'm saying? There's definite love there, and it's like in an age where that's less and less of a thing.
She's my ride or die, right?
Man,
like in the literal sense.
You know, but like, you know what I'm talking about? Like that you know, in today's day and age, it's a flashbang, bottle rocket style, fucking Tinder swipe romance, and it's not. It's
the programming, man. That's just what everybody gets with the apps and the media. And not when I say media, I'm not talking about like what they see on TV, because TV is so dated.
Yeah, like the brands and everything, because like
ads on Facebook, ads on Apple.
Materialism's huge because it pushes people for that upgrade. And then I'm looking at other people like opportunities, because everyone does. And especially when it comes to a relationship, like you might not look at that person like I'm using this person, but anytime I'm staring at somebody for too long and wondering what their financial situation would be like in the future for me, I've already gone off track. Do I fucking love this person or not? Am I attracted to this person genuinely or not? Is this a soul connection or not?
Dude, that stuff's exhausting.
Like, why the fuck? Yeah, but like, I feel like it's a lot easier to not worry about the financial bullshit first, and to just be genuine and organic. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, obviously you have a different situation because of how long you two knew each other.
We were lucky. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we were lucky. Well, we've known each other for a long time.
You definitely had to work on your relationship part, but like, you guys got over the getting to know each other portion.
Which is the hardest part,
Which is the hardest part, because, you know, and obviously she got to know you and you got to know her on a deeper level than you guys did before.
Yeah.
But the whole like getting to know you personality wise, and like you didn't have to fake for her off jump, which is a big thing. Like that honeymoon 6-month period goes away for people that just meet somebody, and you start seeing those tendencies you were talking about earlier, like whether it's past traumas or whatever. Like everybody has tendencies and things that, you know, just like mannerisms and things that bother other people. Like maybe I chew with my mouth open, or like you hear me chew, like whatever.
Dude,
it is,
it's crazy. Like people say, it's funny. You you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and you're in a long-term relationship, and like maybe you've even been living together for a little bit. Like certain things don't really bother you or pop up, but for some reason, and people always talk about this, the minute you're married, like those little arguments end up becoming arguments for some reason.
Yeah, because this is forever now. If I'm gonna be with you forever, I'm gonna fucking deal with this right now. I don't like it when you do that, but you know it's not gonna make me stop. You know,
luckily we were very blessed that our
compatible.
I feel like we're very compatible, which is good. She's like the yin and my yang, and
that's good.
The other way around too.
That's like CJ and Brittany, because and like I'm not dissing either one of them. CJ was like super wild, and Brittany's just not really like that wild. You know, not that she can't have fun, and not that he's not professional. I'm just saying like in a yin yang situation, it works, man. She balances him, he balances her. Like I'm sure she makes him more reserved. I'm sure he pushes her to have more fun occasionally, and like that's beautiful. But for you guys, I think it was more of a compatibility thing. Like obviously, yin and yang's a good example, but like you guys didn't have so much conflict. It seems like because you guys are different people.
We share a lot of like similar background stuff.
Yeah. Like music and interests, and the fact that you knew her and she knew you prior, like gives you common ground to start from.
And we a lot of the things that like we hold fundamental in terms of like our life philosophies from how we grew up as kids and stuff like that too were very similar as well. So it definitely like smoothed things out. It wasn't like a hardcore atheist and like a devout Bible thumping Baptist coming together into some relationship and like squabbling over fundamental differences in reality and stuff like that.
We're gonna have a traditional Jewish wedding. You know, and you're like, exactly. I don't know, just, you know.
No, we like had similar backgrounds in terms of that stuff. We both had very positive family experiences growing up with large extended families. Like my mom has 3 sisters and a brother. My dad has 2 brothers. My grandparents, like my dad's parents, my grandma had like 8 brothers and sisters. Dang. My grandpa had like 4. It was like a bunch on the other side as well.
So like I'm sure you're not trying to go full cheaper by the dozen, but like you're coming from a place where family at the very least is valued.
Yeah, and it wasn't like weird creepy family, because that's something Heather and I have learned growing up. Like not growing up necessarily. I mean, we have grown up though, is that like being out in the world and having more experiences with people is that like we had really positive experiences with our families growing up, like deep, meaningful relationships with aunts and uncles and grandparents and cousins and all kinds of stuff.
Well, see, and I love you. And I was talking about this at work, and I'm sorry you keep bringing it up because it's a good point though. Like the love, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and it's mostly because. And the reason why I have so much respect for what you guys got going on is because you're trying for it and you have to work for it every day. And it's like, in a sense, like the rent is due every day. And it's not, I'm speaking in a figurative sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it is literally due every day, but also like in a figurative sense, like nothing goes without good work, and nothing worthwhile isn't hard work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when it comes to your relationship, like even more so, right? Because you're thinking forever with this person.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If it's the most important thing to you, then you have to invest the most time and care and effort into it.
But
right?
Like you were talking about, like you observing your family, sets your future expectations, and maybe not expectations. That's a strong word. Desires. As far as like what you want for your family and like what you look forward to.
Having a kid, like not only did getting married change my perspective on life, having a kid fundamentally changed it even more than that. And it was crazy how night and day the change was, just like that, in terms of like what my priorities were in life now, and like what the goals I were and how hungry I was to pursue these types of things, right?
Sure.
And so, for the better, of course, I feel like personally. I think some people don't rise to the challenge of being a parent, right?
Yeah.
And can fail at it or stumble, and that's okay. We all go through our own journey in
like,
life.
how do you feel about, like, what I was trying to get back to there was, like, how do you feel about the phrase, like, we love how we were loved? Because in my mind, I think there's a lot of gray areas in there that don't necessarily apply to people, but at the same time, I think, I think to my experience, right, like, I have adoration for what you guys are doing. My family consisted of my mom and dad. They were together for like 25 years before my mom died, right? Like, his whole experience as an adult was with her. It was like all about her. They had that kind of love, and they worked hard for it. They had their ups and downs. They worked paycheck to paycheck. Like I said, rent's due every day. When you come home, you had to go to work. You had to go to, and like, they worked jobs they didn't like, and that's what they did. But they lived and they loved, and they raised me and Allie, and that's what fucking I observed as a child. Now, they had that way before I'm talking to you now at the age of 30. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So in my perspective, I'm looking at that like, oh, damn, well, like, what's wrong with me that I'm like outside this circle at this age in my life, where like now I'm not able to have this lifelong love or something that like I felt that like was essential to having something worthwhile. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like history was such an important building block to what I was trying, to what I thought I deserved. I'm speaking in past tense because I totally don't feel this way now.
But it's that thinking into, like, you've noticed how your life has been getting so much better lately.
Yeah.
And it's because your thinking has been shifting, right?
Yeah.
And, like, there are people out there, you can call them woo-woo people or not. They'll talk about, like, crystal energy or whatever. But, like, some mention, like, vibration and, like, higher thinking or vibrating at a higher frequency and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, like, I think through my life experiences and what I know about the world that it isn't out of the realm of possibility that if a person's thinking is a truer method of thinking in terms of how the world operates, if it's more in line with the fundamental nature of reality, that a person achieves a higher frequency or state of being.
Sure.
And can achieve a higher consciousness, so to speak, right?
And I agree with that, but I think, like, in my personal experience, what sucks for me, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, I guess. Like, what's worked for me is actually removing myself mentally from my physical existence in order to find
it's hard sometimes to be in your body and to be emotional and to have to deal and process with those things, especially when we've lived in a society that has taught people for a long time.
Well, because it's not just about my feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to like depression and like being lonely and anything that I'm dealing with, like, now I have to, like, now I have this skew, like we're talking about the skew.
Everything's made to make you feel sad and lonely.
And so now I'm not only sad and lonely though now I'm trying to like govern myself while I'm sad and lonely. And so it's like a double job. Like you were talking about earlier, like at work, like not only do you have to train, but you have to do your job too.
Yeah.
Well, like that's the same thing for me. Like not only am I fucking like training myself to not think the way I'm thinking, but I also feel the way I feel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's what makes it the hardest, though. Yeah, man. Is exactly that thing.
But you're right. You're right, man. Once I made an effort to start being I'm going to be more positive. This is not like I'm trying to be. I'm going to be more positive, and I'm looking at the brighter sides. Like there's a lot of shit I can be mad about. There's a lot of shit I can be sad about. There's a lot more shit I can be happy about, and I'm trying to push that area in my aspect.
I think mindset, like you're talking about right now, is a huge part of it. But like when you're in it and you're in that sea of emotion, it's hard to be able to change your mindset.
Yeah,
you're not.
You're not. I'm not thinking. Like the rational Dr. Phil Buddha is not creeping in whenever I'm fucking.
Yeah, exactly. And some people medicate with like alcohol.
Yeah. I mean,
marijuana.
I found a safer alternative here.
Right. And like we're on the podcast. Like I've smoked weed a long time now.
Yeah, let's talk about it, dude. Let's talk about it. Yeah, just like what your first experience with pot and like what it means to you now. And
my first experience with pot was
I'm gonna do a dab while you're doing this.
My freshman year of college in the back seat of a friend's car. I had driven back late in the night from my college a few hours away from my hometown to find a boy who a girl I had relations with previously had said had treated her poorly. And I was being a hot-headed young man. And I had gone back to take vengeance. To put things lightly. My efforts were fruitless. I did not find said young man, nor was I able to be with the lady either.
Damn.
So I was very
So
upset.
you didn't get to fight, and you got no pussy, and it was just
Yeah. And not only that, I had driven all that way late in the night that I didn't want my mother to know that I was in town that night, so I couldn't stay there. So I called up a friend who I thought would let me crash, and he was out with other people. So they asked me to come hang. So I showed up to hang with them, and they were smoking weed in the backseat of their car at the Circle Drive. Are you familiar with the Circle Drive?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, nobody else that's listening to this is familiar with the Circle Drive. So there's a spot in Columbia in the back of the subdivision where a couple of our friends used to live. Notably Giuliano, that was the closest person I remember that lived over there, or his mom did. Anyway, we used to go back there and smoke. It was just like a cool place with like a cool view that you could hide from the police. And the law dogs in Columbia are like plentiful and they're assholes. So like a nice place to smoke in Columbia, Illinois is like a...
And they've all also allegedly done drugs, apparently. I've learned.
The police?
Yeah, in Colombia. That's what I've heard, allegedly. I mean, I don't make claims, though, because I don't know anything, so I'm saying allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, bro, I think like all cops, in a sense, have like tried something.
I'm fundamentally anti-police. Because police limit people's liberty to be free human beings.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. I have spoke. I mean, and my thing is like I'm not against the people that wear the badge.
No.
But like
I understand that they're human beings that are doing a job, but
I detest your fraternal brotherhood.
Yeah,
I detest the idea of you putting that above doing the right thing or civilians' lives.
Yeah, that they put on a badge and they'll say yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
Yeah.
To do whatever they tell them to do and whatever orders they enact.
Yeah.
Like Gestapo almost.
Stomp on your rights.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like our rights have been stomped on since the inception of these rights, right? And so it's just a spiral downward at this point to the inevitable end point, which is some kind of change in the fundamental order of things.
Have you ever been arrested for weed?
No, I've never been arrested before.
Word. I've been arrested like 3 times, twice for weed, and man, but the last time I made sure to tell the cop, like, I didn't go out of my way to talk shit, but he was kind of talking shit, being like a bully, and like my cousin was like in the backseat, like he was like kind of upset, and I was just kind of like, dude, like we're already in cuffs, like this dude's taking us to jail, your car's getting towed, and in terms of him, like, he was like, well, maybe you shouldn't break the law, and blah. I'm like, bro, it was a plant. Like, dude, congratulations. You saved the earth today, super cop. Like, literally, the world is a safer place because I'm not smoking this plant on my way to my job right now. Like, thank you, sir. And he was like, and we kind of got into it, and I was just kind of like, look, dude, like, you're a highway patrol officer. You're not even a real cop. You don't solve mysteries. You fucking pull people. You're a revenue collection agent. And I said that to him, and he was like, oh, is that what I am?
It can be even worse than that sometimes. And they can literally put you in a steel box and keep you locked away from your family and your life and everything you love and hold dear because you cannot do anything to stop them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and I mean, technically I did get arrested, but it was, for weed. And the whole way there,
but you never consented to that law, right?
No.
So, like, what the fuck? Like, you're not hurting anybody by doing that.
Yeah, I'm at the liberty of the fucking powers that be to make the decision for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't do this. I can't do that. It's safe for me to drink a fucking fifth of Jack and beat my wife, but I can't smoke weed and eat a pizza. God forbid. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the America like that we live in.
Yeah, I mean that's the one of the insanities inherent in this system. Just like there are others, and like different facets of society recognize the different insanities that apply to their facet of society, and it's just all like it just seems like it's all just been getting faster and faster, right? And like maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe this is just how it works in history, and I just haven't lived long enough to know better yet. Like I'm aware enough to think about these things, but in my observation, it seems like things just seem to be getting. It's like clown world. Like things get more and more absurd and ridiculous, and I'm glad that I have a good sense of humor and a positive outlook in general on life and like my fundamental philosophy of life.
Yeah, so I had to pass the rig. But yeah, man, like I agree. And you're right. Like it's so like everything's quick, but like it's all like short. Everything's temporary. It's produced for like instant gratification, and that's just the world we live in now. And it's like, hard to appreciate things when it's like that. You know what I mean? In the way that they're supposed to be appreciated. That's that mango sherbet. Yeah, I forgot we're supposed to review and shit. So today we're smoking on this brand called Rythm, Rythm. It's not spelled like traditional like Rythm. But yeah, this is one of my favorite brands. They do flower really, really, really well. This is the first time I've had their extracts. And we're smoking the indica dominant mango sherbet live resin. It's
indica dominant. I'm not going to be able to get up off the couch.
Yeah, I'm really not an indica guy either, but it sounded tasty, so. It's sitting at a comfy 78.634%.
Well, that's healthy.
It's not too bad. Yeah, like it's not like I was more in it for the terps and the experience. I wanted, mango sherbet.
So like, we're talking about history of weed. Like, my friends were smoking weed. I was pretty straight edge at the time. I was like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" And they're like, "Oh man, why are you upset?" And they said, my best friend, you know who he is, but I'm not going to shout him out on here because he hasn't, like, he doesn't know I'm doing this. So, like,
hey, shout out to him though. I haven't seen him in forever, and I hope he's doing good.
He's doing great, man.
I love you.
Yeah, I'm happy for him and his girl out there.
It rhymes with cat.
Yeah, but they were like, he does that. Like, why are you angry? And I didn't know that he did that at the time. And I was, like I said, pretty straight edge. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. And I was like, God damn it. If he does it, then I'm going to do it. Because I was pissed that I, like, couldn't fight and blah, blah, blah. So I, like, popped in the backseat of the car there.
And you guys both had, like, military dads, yeah?
Yeah, my dad was.
So it's not necessarily, like, a strict thing, but, like, both of them had, like, expectations. There's, like, because I remember even smoking at his house, like, we had to be really careful. Like, it wasn't like we were just able to smoke. Like,
his parents were fairly strict.
I'm saying even after they knew, though, it wasn't like we were, like, allowed to do it.
Yeah.
Like, we definitely did. We smoked, like, his little smoke buddy in his closet in the basement. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was always a thing. But, like...
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
But,
so, like, what age was that? Like, 15, 16?
No, that was college. This was our freshman year at college.
See, man, for some reason, I mean, I know I smoked with, like, Coleman or sorry, I didn't name names. I smoked with, like, some of those cats from Columbia, like, back in the day. But I didn't know. Honestly, my timeline is so fucked up. I don't know how old I was. All I know is that when I started smoking heavily, I was already 19.
Yeah, I didn't smoke in high school. I drank a little bit in high school, but not a lot.
Well, I'm saying what you said makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I didn't start smoking heavily until I was, like, 19. And, like, obviously, I didn't meet y'all until at least a couple years after that. So that would make sense.
It wasn't like a regular habit at that point either. It was just like kind of here and there.
Yeah, like, for, like
socially.
High on Friday.
Yeah, like I didn't have any experience purchasing anything in the black market at that point.
Yeah.
It's intimidating to do something like that on your own if you aren't familiar with the connections and how it goes when you do something like that.
Yeah.
And so, like,
how cool is it to be able to buy weed from a store? After all the sketchy drug deals we've had and fucking...
It was pretty great.
Yeah, right? I mean, it is expensive, bro, but, like, the first time I went to Denver, I was, like, emotional, bro. Like, the first time I, like, bought from a store, I was emotional.
By the time I left, you could get...
Don't even talk about it. You're making me upset.
By the time, like, depending on where you went and, like, what city or town you were in, because, like, local taxes were all different and stuff like that. Depending on the day of the week, if they had specials and stuff, because you could get, like, rewards clubs and, like, all kinds of different stuff. It was crazy. You could get, like, a gram of, like, pretty sweet dabs like that 78% stuff there.
Yeah.
For, like, $20.
Yeah, I heard that. And, like, pre-rolls for, like, $5. And...
Oh, yeah. Or they'd throw them in if you spent like $50 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if you got, like, 500 points on your rewards, you get, like, $20 off or something like that.
Now, I work at a medicinal cannabis dispensary. I don't know if I've revealed the name of it on here or not, so I won't say it. But, like, anyway, I work there, and we do that, too, with it's like the grocery store point thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, dude, it's so fucking handy. At our store... you know, you essentially get like a point for every dollar you spend. If you get up to like 1,000 points, it's like $60 off. 2,000 points is $140 off. There was a guy that got like 3/8 in like a pre-roll and spent like $21 because of his discounts and those points. And I was like, you motherfucker. I'm like, you beat the system. It's really just because he bought so much and it's so expensive.
Yeah,
that, like, they're giving him like little cookie crumbs back, and eventually he makes another cookie. Eventually,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, that's how all of those systems get you. There's some marketing and accounting people on the back end of the company that...
And it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like I got something
Yeah,
free.
it's like when something goes on sale at the grocery store or at the department store or whatever, and you're like, ooh, I feel like I'm getting a good deal. It's like, no, these people know what they're doing, and they wouldn't make it that much money if they didn't think that they were going to make money off of it.
Yeah, well, it's the same way. Like if I
or at least break even.
If I put something on Facebook Marketplace, I want $100. I ask $120 because I know somebody's gonna haggle with me. Now, in the same sense, if I'm in business and I know I have to get $100, I'm gonna say, oh, well, it was $120, but today it's $10% off, and you can get it for whatever. And so, like, essentially, like that's like like you're saying, it's that advertising, the marketing.
Or you just even say it's $120 and say it's 30% off. It's $120. And like
that's what I mean.
People even think it's on sale. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Yeah, because you know it's $120, so you're gonna like hit the $120 plus the sale, and it's not a sale at all. Like you're getting what you wanted for it.
Exactly.
It's all perception, and it works for me too. Honestly, like just like the impulse buys at the fucking store you're walking through.
People don't fundamentally have a very good understanding of the value of things very much these days anymore, because like the quality of a lot of things in daily life has just been slowly, like, I can remember this just from my life. Like I remember having things as a child that like were really good, or things I inherited from previous generations that as a kid, and they were solid and they lasted and they were good quality, and like a lot of other things that I've acquired later in life, doesn't exist like that. It doesn't exist like that anymore. And so it's people don't have an understanding of what that is or what it means anymore. And when you don't know about that, like it's hard to like know what is different.
It exists in the world, but like no matter what industry we're talking about, you get what you pay for, and there's always an expensive option. Like anything American made is probably going to give you like that quality standard that you're shooting for, but like it goes back to what we were saying earlier about like just the industrialization and how companies have to end up to be profitable, and like you're saying, not only to introduce our currency to other markets. You're outsourcing for everything. Yeah.
I don't think that system's going to be able to keep going for very much longer, though, especially after all the COVID stuff and the like stimulus and all the money that they printed and gave away. Have you seen the chart of the M1 money supply? Are you familiar with that?
No.
So the M1 money supply is the amount of dollars out there in the like available to people, right? And that changes depending on when the Federal Reserve allows more to be printed and released into the marketplace and stuff like that. And if you look at the chart, they actually recently discontinued the M1 money supply. You can't even look at the chart anymore because they changed the definition of it, and the M2 money supply, so that the M2 money supply chart now includes some things from the M1 money supply.
More and more people were figuring out what it was and looking it up.
And so the M1 money supply, basically, I know people can't see, but like it looks like this, and then like at the end it goes like basically like so straight up,
flat line, and then a straight spike up.
And that's because of
all the new currency introduced to the economy.
40% of all of the dollars that exist have been printed in the last year, I believe. 40% of all dollars.
And how easy was that for them?
Just like that. Just a snap of a finger.
And now a lot of us owe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like, we owe. What do we owe?
Oh, what? Yeah, like, exactly what I'm saying. When I get paid for the economic relief. And I ain't gonna lie, like, I like, after...
It's all gone.
I got outsourced and I was on unemployment for a while. I rode that wave, but like eventually I just wanted to do something with my time. It had nothing to do with like I don't understand like how like people like, oh yeah, this so-and-so was on unemployment for 4 years. How, bro? Like how, bro? What did you like, unless you were seriously, you had a side hustle and you were just doing your thing the whole time, like what were you doing?
Dude, if you eat shitty food, like eat like garbage processed snacks and stuff from the grocery store and fast food or delivery, and you drink soda all the time.
So far, this is me. So far,
and you fucking whack off to porn and shit like that, and you fucking play video games, and you never go outside, and you don't exercise.
I feel attacked. Everything you just said, it still applies to me, and I'm waiting for it to shift.
Like, why wouldn't you want to keep doing that?
Well, because like honestly, like all that shit gets boring, yeah. Like it
does get boring. There's no fulfillment in any of that stuff.
There's a Green Day lyric, he says like when masturbation's lost its fun, you're fucking losing it. Like that's when like you know what I'm saying. Like if you have the time to do that, then you have too much time in your hands. Like you know what I mean. As an adult, like I've like and it's just and I just turned 30, so like I guess like it could be like. I'm having like these turning point conversations with myself where like I'm like, oh, what do I want to do? I'm getting into like guitar crafts and like I'm trying to like in lutherie and I'm trying to learn how to like do things that I should have learned how to do a long time ago. I was never interested in that shit.
There's no better time than the present though, man. That's the great thing about life, man. You can do whatever you want whenever you want to start. Like right now, you can fucking.
Well, and it's like just the same thing with this podcast shit. Like I had a podcast before. I had a microphone on my own. I never like took the time to invest into getting a mic for another person and to do the whole thing because it was like it was like a hobby, right? Like, but everything I do is a hobby. So like, why not like put pride in and put effort into it? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially in a sense, like my whole life, since I'm a musician, my whole life is looked at as a fucking hobby. Like, there's not I stopped introducing myself as a musician because of the response I get.
What is a hobby anyway?
Like when I introduce myself to, I got a new girlfriend, hypothetical situation because I don't. But I meet a father. What do you do? Oh, right now I would rather say I'm a licensed weed dealer for the state of Illinois, because the look I get when I say I'm a musician, and then he goes, no,
that's probably more respectable in terms of
That's what I mean. There's financial basis behind it,
Yeah.
Like even if
stability.
Even if he doesn't like weed, he's thinking, oh, that's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now, if I tell him I'm a songwriter, he's like, no, I asked what you do, like for a living.
Yeah.
Like I had to reiterate my question because now. Like I'm trying to figure out what you do for a living, because not that many people are eating off of music. And not to say that doesn't exist. Like I was explaining this to somebody earlier. Like I will find a musical existence in this world because there's hundreds of thousands of millions of jobs out there within the musical realm. I could be fixing guitars or writing songs or whatever, but like it exists out there.
I mean, even if you're doing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Or a lot of it on the side.
Yeah.
Like it's.
I'm not losing hope, dude. I just like I just don't feel like even now like I'm still progressing. I'm getting better in every way. I'm better today than I was 10 years ago. I'm better today than I was yesterday. So it's like, fuck it, dude. Like I'm still doing it. I still enjoy doing it. I do it for the right reasons now, and it makes it more gratifying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I'm remodeling a mobile home right now.
Yeah.
And I have no idea. I've never done that before.
It's beautiful. And then, so we're approaching the Joe Rogan hours of a podcast. We're getting into like the 2-hour mark, but like I definitely want people to check out. If there's anything I could stress, like we're probably gonna hang out for a little bit longer, but like I could talk to Zach all fucking day, and like honestly, like whenever I thought about having guests. You were one of the first like 2 or 3 people that I thought of, and you were in Denver at the time, so I was thinking or Colorado at the time rather, and I'm thinking to myself like oh that would be really hard to do, or we'd have to do it over Zoom, and so to actually have you on my couch right now is pretty fucking surreal, because like the listeners don't know, I literally haven't seen you in a better part of a decade now.
Yeah, like 6 years, probably 7 years, something.
I heard you say that earlier, like and honestly, like it feels like we're picking up where we left off, like. You're not much different than like before, but like you really are in the sense of like your mental maturity. You were, like I said, you were always logical and a very mature person, but even in like in your infancy of an adulthood where you're talking about all your mess ups, like you were even a good person then, and it's nice to see you becoming the man that you are, man. And
well, gee, thanks.
Yeah, no much love, dude. And I got a lot of love for Heather too, so shout out to Heather, and make sure you guys check out their YouTube channel. Like I already subbed, and we should turn up the likes on their shit too.
Yeah, it's mostly just like a documentation of our journey.
Yeah, well,
from this new like start for us with this 8.5 acres and this property. That
So
we
it is
purchased.
a documentation, right?
Yeah.
But it's also a journey for the viewer.
Yeah.
Cause like you said, like you're like there's a lot of shit you don't even know. Cause like there's all kinds of roadblocks you're gonna run into. Like, oh, well, I was gonna do that, but then I didn't know this was that. Now I have to do this, and who knows?
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
we're trying to fundamentally change the way that people view how they can live with their family.
Yeah.
Because like you hear like dumb family values stuff from the right, or like awful other stuff from the left in regards to like thinking families are worthless, because they're not. Like we all come from families, and I believe from my experiences that people that have come from broken homes, despite that there have been some that have turned into great people, a lot of the time it can do a lot of psychological damage to a kid.
Hurt people too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like the love we observe is what we expect, and that's also what we put out into the world. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, and I think there is a certain amount of willpower that can overcome these situations, but it's like an occurrence, not the norm, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so,
yeah, man, I agree, and I think like with you guys, like what you're doing is noble in the sense that like you're gonna raise your daughter in a place that's like has a like, and we're not talking about religion or anything. I'm just talking about like a moral.
No, neither one of us is religious.
A moral foundation and a loving foundation that is able to let her figure out how she wants to be as a person. You know what I mean?
Well,
not all of us have those freedoms. Like if you were born in a household that was like real dog eat dog in the ghetto and you had to like just live a certain way, you're going to grow up a certain way. You don't have the freedom to figure out what you want to be or what you're good at. You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, I think that there's a certain amount of willpower that people have to make a choice. And that some circumstances, it makes it a lot harder to make good choices.
Facts. Yeah, not that they can't pull themselves.
I don't want to rob a person from their autonomy to be able to make the right or wrong choice, because that's everybody's individual decision to make.
But it's different. It's different like when you're able to give not just someone, but your daughter a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's because I think that's within my power.
Because that's more important. It's more like I understand like what you're saying. Like people have the will to do go from terrible places.
Like I personally believe that I have the ability to influence the space like within my immediate domain, right? And that includes like my children and stuff.
You know what I'm saying? She doesn't have to come from a terrible place,
right? Exactly. Not if I have anything to say about it.
Because you and Heather are making the effort together,
right?
And that's an awesome thing.
Well, and that's like I've heard a lot lately of people that are like, oh well, we don't want to have kids because like, oh, the world is such a terrible place right now and stuff like that. And it's like, well, then how do you think good people get into the world if you don't go out there and if you don't make the good people that come out into the world? And like Heather has definitely taught me to be a very go out and like, if you're gonna say something, you're gonna do it. And so, like, if we tell people that, like, you should put good people out in the world and have kids, then, we should do it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so, I agree, man. And I, like, honestly, like, bro, to the moon with you guys, man. I think that, you know, like I said, it's never going to be easy or without conflict.
It's fun, though. It's also scary as hell.
But worthwhile, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, when I look, like, even if, like, today I was to, like, start a band, it would be super important to me because I love music. But, like, I looked in my life 10 years from now. Do I see that band? Maybe not. Probably not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be able to envision that. Now, like, 10 years, you look down your road, you definitely see your wife, and you definitely see your daughter. You know what I'm saying? In the scope of, you may not know what it looks like, but you definitely envision a life that includes both of them. That's a very comforting thing. And to, like I was saying, in modern romance, today's world, it's a rarity, man. And, fuck yeah to both of you, man. And I just love you guys so much, dude. And you're fucking, and honestly, like I said, the YouTube, the videos you guys had on there, they're very watchable. Like it wasn't good. Like I know you guys are my people, and I'm biased, like because I do like you guys so much, but like it was a very watchable thing. It was like it wasn't hard to watch at all. Like I watched both of them, it flew by. You know what I'm saying? So I think people should go on there and check it out. What is it? Bee's Farm? How you say it?
B Brook Farm.
B Brook Farm on YouTube and Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Cool,
and
man.
Facebook.
And Facebook, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
most places.
big shout outs to Zach Bennett for joining me, man. It's been too fucking long since I've seen you, and it's been such a good time.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a better way to just, catch up than to do it and record it. And,
Yeah.
we could have this forever or whatever. But, yeah, man, go check out his YouTube, check out his Instagram, and...
yeah, we're not just about, like, redoing the mobile home either.
Yeah.
It's about, like...
I definitely think you guys should push your perspective.
Homesteading and stuff like that. That's our goal. Raising food for ourselves to be more sustainable.
Yeah.
And to eat quality food and be able to spend more time together as a family.
Dude, yeah. That's awesome. Like, and I think, like, the more you guys gently push that perspective... like amongst your video, like, yeah, we're working hard, but here's what we're doing it for. You know what I mean? And like, people see your success is going to inspire them to do similar things in their own lifestyle, and I think like that in a sense is noble.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
that's
that
our
in a
goal.
sense is noble. It's more than just a YouTube channel at that point. You know what I'm saying? If you inspire people to do good in their own lives, and it's doing good in your life simultaneously, it's a win-win, dude. Like, and like you were talking about putting better people in the world. We don't need to have kids. We can be those better people.
Dude, I love hanging out with my daughter too. She's great.
Yeah.
Like, she's an awesome human being.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sure it's the coolest fucking thing.
Yeah, why wouldn't I want to like hang out and play all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And but why not do that while learning like how the world works or like
us ourselves, man.
Yeah.
We can be those people though too, you know what I mean? Like those people, those good people that we need to put into the world. Like, could be us. Like, I don't have to fucking have a child. Of course I want my
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely the most optimistic way to look at it, man.
What was it? Michael Jackson starts with the man
in the mirror. Yeah.
Like that's like some real thought shit. You know what I mean? Because like, and that's honestly the hardest place to start, bro. That's the hardest place to start because we're all our own worst enemy.
Everybody's always so concerned about what they can do to help save the world, and they can't even save themselves, right?
Facts.
And like that's who we always got to start with, right?
Man.
Is saving us first, and then we can go out and
it's beautiful.
It's
beautiful to know people like you that at least have the thought to like think about other people in a sense, you know what I mean? Because in the world that it is right now, like because you're talking about like educating people as well as documenting your progression together and like going through this journey. But like there's definitely a perspective that to be had within your message. It's not just that like, oh yeah, we're rehabbing this home. No. We're rehabbing this home for a purpose, and this purpose is to be shared because, like, it's a rare perspective in today's day and age, especially amongst people our age.
Well, we want everybody to be happy, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean. Our people our age, with divorce as high as it is, and it's fucking, you know what I'm saying? To see that from a young person's perspective.
Oh yeah, I don't even think people will be getting married very much in the near future from the dating scene that I see from like my younger brothers and stuff like that.
I agree.
It's crazy out there.
Well, shit, dude, I might have to get a van and park in your fucking on your 8 acres. I'd be like,
we're gonna put in our a gravel pad with RV hookups for campers and RVs and stuff like that. Yeah, we have a 1,200 square foot pole barn workshop.
Do you have a lake or something?
We have a brook. It's not quite a creek. It's like a brook that runs through the middle of our property. Yeah.
I'll have to rent a lot and fucking stay out there, dude.
It's nice. It's peaceful.
My man.
The guy across the street from us apparently grows medical marijuana for the state.
Shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
He told us that when we introduced ourselves.
Yeah, that's a win-win, dude. Across the street,
Yeah.
Getting good with the guy. Well, shit, man. I'm excited to go out there. I'll check it out sometime. I'd love to help.
It is a little ways out.
I heard that. Yeah,
it's about an hour away from the city.
It's not that terrible. I think like especially to go like for like a day or two to like help you guys do something. Make it worthwhile. You know what I'm saying? Like it'd be cool like plan something and go. Kick it, maybe help, do some shit.
I'm there every weekend.
Yeah, man.
I work full-time during the week, and then I take care of my daughter at night, and then I get up on the weekends, and some weekend days we go do other things, but we're still doing something, and then, like, the other time I'm out there working on the trailer. Sometimes in the mornings early, like 4 a.m. before work.
Man, it just sucks for me because, like, the dispensary is busiest on Friday, Saturday, Sunday for obvious reasons.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then
I understand that.
And then like as a musician,
I was a bartender and a server for a long time, so like my schedule was like the nighttime weekends, Thursday through Sunday night, like all the time. People would be like, "Hey, you want to go do blah 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 thing Saturday night?" And I'm like, I make $500 in a Saturday night. Why would I want to take that off?
Yeah. Yeah, same. I'd rather get smashed at 7 a.m. on Monday morning knowing I'm off work than, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
with money in my
exactly.
pocket. Yeah, no, I feel it. But it's the same thing as a musician, though, too. That's what sucks. Like, all the good shit happens Friday, Saturday night. So it's like I'm either working or I have the music thing. But I would love to go out there and help you guys sometime, man. I think it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, we converted the garden shed into like a little place to stay.
You get the sea shed.
Yeah, I guess so.
She...
It's cute in like a farm style, I guess. It has the crib so my daughter can take a nap while we're out there working. There's a little AC unit in the window. We kind of insulated it a little bit.
Do you have like a smoke space yet, like a man cave or an area?
No, that's one of the other things is like I was such a habitual smoker for so long, but I actually haven't really been smoking a whole lot lately.
In the home?
In general.
Oh, okay.
I actually have been swinging back to more preferring flower over dabs.
Sure.
Dabs were just convenient because they were cheaper in Colorado.
Quicker.
And Heather doesn't like the smell of weed because
right.
it makes her sick when she's smoked it before.
Mm-hmm. So it reminds her of things that make her sick. Which is
yeah,
bad.
Yeah, she doesn't like that.
I get that.
So it was always more convenient to do a dab than to smoke a bowl. Yeah. And for time-saving purposes, too. It's quicker to heat up the torch, do a dab, than it is to sit there and smoke a bowl or smoke a J or part of a J or something.
So you've been hanging in there, bro, so we've been doing plenty of dabs since you've been here, so for someone that hasn't been dabbing, you know what I mean? It's fucking...
Yeah, I like to think that I've had a lot of experience with stuff.
We won't speak to your exact level of experience, but I'll say it's credible.
Yeah.
You know.
So.
Credible is an understatement. We're just gonna, but
like, I was
telling people about
a simple man's life these days.
I was telling people about like somebody at work the other day about like just like when a package would arrive. And it was like Christmas, and then like we had that fortune cookie that one time.
Oh.
And for some reason, it tasted like meat seasoning or something. It had like some weird fucking
like soy sauce or something.
Like Chinese food. Yeah, like I know where they called it fortune cookie after that, but I was just thought it was funny. I was like, I'll never forget that weed. It's a very distinct tasting weed, and it wasn't bad. It just like it was dark colored and it tasted like seasoning. It was very herbal. It was different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always tell people about that. I was like, man, it was always like we never knew what it was coming, but it was so nice when it was there, and then
Yeah, in Missouri it's not legal technically. There's medical, but I like firearms a lot.
Yeah, I know.
They're fun, and I think that they're great for protection and for hunting and stuff like that.
I'm left on a lot of things. Guns not one of them.
No,
because bad people don't buy guns at stores. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, they don't. They'll get them wherever they want to, or they'll 3D print them these days.
They're still gonna get them.
Yeah,
it's just you're taking.
And not only that, they're fun. I like shooting them. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, so like that was the thing is I was actually like, why does anybody need an AR-15? Then I shot an AR-15.
I love my AR-15,
bro. I have never felt cooler, and I mean that quite literally. I've never felt cooler than when I shot that. Like I was like, that was the fucking awesome adrenaline rush. It was like fucking. Felt powerful, and it was cool, dude. Like within a responsible basis, I could see why people like to do that.
Yeah,
like to have it. Like, but on your to your point, like for self protection and in general, I would like a pistol and a shotgun. However, now that I have some of those. I have a cannabis card now. I'm a patient.
Yeah,
and now Illinois won't say that you can't have it,
but federally. You're getting into murky territory if you go to purchase a firearm and you say to them that you haven't been consuming marijuana, and then they go back and see that you have a medical card.
Yeah.
Then you get into really big trouble.
Well, I mean, but my thing is I have to go through background check it now anyway. And if I need a FOID card, is my point.
Yeah.
Because in Missouri, that's not. If in Missouri, that's not a thing.
Missouri is like the exact opposite of Illinois.
Right. In Missouri, you can go to a flea market and buy a fucking gun with a driver's license.
You still have to. In most places, other than like a flea market or a gun show, you have to go through the background check process. And even gun shows these days, a lot of them still make you go through background checks and stuff like that just because of the issues that have been with them.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So it's not so easy to necessarily get like a firearm that's just like off the books or something like that, or easy to get around background checks or something if you got a crazy background or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like it just goes to the point that I was making. Like I'm left on a lot of things, but like it's not the easiest thing to get a gun, even though it is easy to get a gun in some states.
It's easier than others. In some states, it's really hard and awful, and in some other states, it's like almost impossible.
Illinois is one of those places, and they're not willing to tell you that because you have a cannabis card or because you shop at the recreational cannabis dispensary that you can't have a FOID card. But whenever you go to renew, you might get rejected. Or if I apply, obviously I will get rejected as a patient because they don't want me under the influence of marijuana operating a gun. You know what I'm saying? But like they don't chart if I'm an alcoholic and I have a fucking FOID card. How many dudes drink a fucking 30 pack of Bush every day and have a pistol license in Illinois? You know what I mean? Like so.
Yeah, in Illinois, I have no idea.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm saying like you have to have a FOID card, right? But like how much alcohol I buy doesn't affect my ability to own a FOID card.
Well, and not only that.
I can have a Xanax prescription.
Exactly. It doesn't really limit dangerous people from having access to firearms.
Yeah. If my doctor says I can have Xanax, that does not inhibit my ability to have a FOID card.
And then not only does it not limit bad people, it puts restrictions on people who genuinely need access to firearms to protect themselves or their property from having access to them when they need them.
Yeah. To be honest, I wouldn't mind having a gun. But yeah. If I had to fucking.
Well, we can go once we get the property cleaned up a little bit because the forest area is getting a little crazy right now, and we need to clean some stuff up. We can.
If it was like Wild West and everybody had one on their hip, I would obviously want one on my hip.
That's I would love to have for that to be more of a thing than to have police around.
Facts. I agree with that. But mainly for me, I just want two in my home. I'll have a pistol and a shotgun, and that's it. But honestly, I'm not one of those fucking people that's leftist and I hate guns because bro, there's a time and a place. It exists, and they're fun. You're right about that. They're fucking fun.
They're fun.
If you don't think they're fun, if you hate guns, go
you
fucking shoot
shot one.
Go shoot one. Go shoot one. See at a target. See how you feel.
Yeah, even a 22, you don't have to shoot something big.
Right.
You can get something small. They're fun.
I agree.
I have a good time with them. I have a few of them. It's a great time.
Hell yeah.
But like I said, I just that's one thing I'm cooler with. So we were in Missouri. That's why we picked coming back to Missouri. Colorado was getting a little crazy with that stuff.
Well, they're getting better with the medical market in Missouri, so maybe in about a year or so it'll be caught up quality-wise.
I have, like I said, I haven't really been smoking so much.
Well, you don't really have to be honest. Bro.
I don't have the time to much anymore.
But I'm saying the black market improved with the quality shift.
Yeah.
Black market's we have to charge less and we have to find better products.
I just don't even have connections that much anymore. Yeah. I don't want to drive over to Illinois for the recreational stuff. Right. It's all way more expensive.
Super expensive.
All of our money has been going into buying stuff for the mobile home and the property lately to do the renovations and just living expenses.
Well, yeah, man, you got more important shit. It ain't about weed, but I'm saying,
Yeah, so I'm hoping with our lifestyle to want to raise more food for ourselves and animals and stuff like that, and have just a sustainable life on our property and have a farm that's going to produce things for other people, hopefully. That maybe someday, if it's legalized in Missouri, I'll grow some of my own, and then I'll have something like that, just as a side project.
Man, you ever worry about getting Ruby Ridged or something?
I don't plan to have a cult or anything.
That was Waco.
Yeah.
Ruby Ridge was just the guy in his family.
That was their ranch.
And they got fucking killed.
Yeah.
He just shot his family.
I hope that doesn't happen.
I don't want to put that on you. I'm just saying in general.
I don't want to.
In general, they were just self-sufficient, and they were I don't know about that.
I don't have an agenda that I'm trying to push on to people.
Ruby Ridge was in the wake of Waco, Texas, and I think they it wasn't what they thought it was. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I'm always worried about that. When I think about self-sufficient life, that eventually the government would come for a commune that was thriving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But shit, man, it is getting kind of late here, man. I could talk all fucking night, and people might not even be listening right now. Who knows? If somebody got this far, say hit me up. I'll give you a fucking t-shirt when I make them. We're doing Buddha boxes real soon. I'm working on a lot of cool shit. And I would want to give a big shout out to Zach, man. Thanks for coming through, kicking it. It was fucking fun as always, dude.
Yeah, anytime, man.
Shout out to Heather.
And I want to next time I want to give you some fresh food from our garden or something like that. I would
love that,
because that's part of the reason why we're doing what we do too, is because the flavor of the things you can actually grow yourself is so much better than you can get
like
from
salsa
the grocery
and
store.
pickles and shit.
Oh yeah, man! I have a bushes full of tomatoes that I'm just waiting for them to turn red so I can start making some sauces.
Can't fucking wait, dude. Them. Yeah, we can kill some deer on your property, man. Let me know. I haven't had venison.
I've seen them.
I haven't had
venison
working forever. Yeah. Do you eat meat right now? Or?
Yeah, I eat meat.
My word.
We got a part of a cow while we were out in Colorado, and we brought it back in our deep freezer.
Cool.
I try and get good quality meat, but it's hard to find some things a lot of the time, like chicken and pork. So we eat a lot of the beef that we got.
You got 8 acres now, baby. Once it's deer season, you go out there and like a real man.
Yeah,
bring
the
that
state technically only allows us to take certain ones in certain parts of different seasons, so you can't just
kill it and eat it.
No,
damn.
Yeah, you can have like one a year, basically, as a general rule of thumb.
Damn the man.
Yeah. Damn the man.
Well, shit, man. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Shout out to Heather. Check out Brook Farms.
Yep.
On YouTube, and it's on Instagram. And yeah, man, it's been fucking a pleasure as always.
It's been awesome.
I'm probably get a little higher and fucking turn these mics off, whatever. But yeah, man. Thanks for checking it out. I'm gonna get back on my Buzzsprout, and this week I will be back on Spotify and iHeartRadio. Right now, you could check this out on the YouTubes, on the Facebooks, and yeah, man. As always, stay frosty. Thanks for hanging out with us here at the Big Buddha Podcast. See y'all later.